Hello and welcome to Podcasting is Praxis. I'm David. I am here tonight with Rob.
Hello.
Alistair.
Hey.
James.
Hello.
And Jamie.
Alright.
You don't know this, but it's just taken about fucking 15 minutes to start this episode, so if I sound exasperated, that's why.
It's episode 100, so we thought we'd start off on the right foot and just, prep David coming in so he's ready.
Yeah, listener, if you've got any opinions about the film In Time starring Justin Timberlake, please send them to at Sanitary Nap Time.
Fucking hell. Aye. Just at me. Fuck. Right. Okay, we do have another year in review to have a look through, but before we do that, some news. So, the Tories today put out a bunch of policies that they're going to do, all of which are bad if you like Tory policies and want to vote for them. So they've broken 3 separate manifesto promises in 2 hours, which is fucking great. And every one of them is dog shit stuff too. So the first one is national insurance will rise by 1.25% from next year.
Who fucking Ray? Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Love to increase the most regressive tax we have apart from that.
Yeah, I would say this one is probably more regressive than VAT, potentially. Hot take, but VAT is just a blanket-ass tax. Everyone gets hit the same way, but with national insurance, after you're earning 50k, you do get another rise, but it's Sorry, you don't get another rise, you actually pay 10% less on everything after 50k.
I love this fucking backward-ass country where we've got what is supposed to be progressive taxation, and we've somehow managed to go, progressive taxation with the exception of
no, it is
this
progressive.
Bit here.
It's just in the same way that a list is sorted, but sometimes you sort it Z to A. That's all this is. It's just progressively descending. The new rates from next year will be 13.25% on all earnings up to 50k, and then any earnings after 50k will be from 2% to 3.25%, which is, really cool. Great. At least if it was VAT, like I say, it would be fucking just blanket across the board, but nah.
Just do it as income tax at this point. Just abolish it and raise income tax.
Yes, national insurance, because insurance, haha, yeah, good fucking joke there, is bullshit as a concept. It should just
for
be
the
part of income
disgusting
tax.
foreigners among us, what the fuck does national insurance pay for? The NHS or bins?
Actually, I'm going to explain a little bit of this because this adds context, and there may well be people in Britain who don't know this. The reason it's called national insurance is they were trying to sell the idea of having state benefits and a state pension to people, including proud people who'd never had to do without and all that kind of stuff. And so they pitched them this idea that it's insurance. You pay into it for your working life, and then when it comes time to collect your pension, that they're now making available, a state pension, you will have paid into it. So you're not getting something for nothing, right? That's what they had to do to introduce state pension and all the rest of it. It's not really about the NHS, though it's related to it. It's the same, it is broadly the idea of, hey, it's okay to have benefits because actually you're paying for them. And so by paying your national insurance...
Imagine how much fucking better off the country would be if instead of doing this to pander to idiots who didn't want something for nothing, they'd just herded them all into a field and shot them.
One other fun aspect of national insurance is that your benefits are weighted against whether or not you have made enough national insurance contributions.
Oh, because you can't get benefits unless you're paid into this.
But you get the absolute pittance fucking rate.
Oh, fuck off.
Yep.
Oh, fuck off.
Basically, national insurance is, in a roundabout way, a means to enforce an enduring status hierarchy, even in benefit claims.
Cool.
Yes, it is very cool. So that's that, and it's now worse. So that's great. Funny, though, because the Tories did mention in the manifesto, VAT, income tax, and national insurance specifically would not get any rises. And obviously,
yeah, but these things like confuse me because like the manifesto stuff, right? Because is this like the ministerial code where everybody says, "Oh, you can't do that; that's illegal," and then everybody does it and nobody gives a shit?
It's not so much that. It's more of the closest thing you could really equate it to. It's more of the break of a social contract that's been made. The party has said they will do this, so they've basically broken a promise to the people who they tried to get a vote out of.
Like, I don't know if this is different in Switzerland and, in the Netherlands, so apologies, but manifestos, as we understand them here, is they're basically what a political party advertises they will do. They promise the electorate, we will do X if you elect us. And that's what a manifesto is meant to be. It's the thing you stand on. And so them breaking the manifesto is not like in law or anything.
No, it's not bound at all.
Yeah, it's just that they've told the electorate, well, we promised these things, but go fuck yourself.
All right,
yeah, don't worry, they're still working on doing the pogroms against travellers in Roma.
Oh, so, yeah, that stuff's still totally on
that stuff, yeah. Oh, what a relief there.
Well,
we're still going to win another landslide in like 2024.
Yes, probably. They fucking are, and I'll come on to why in just a bit.
Is it because Keith is shit?
Yes, largely that is exactly why. The pension triple lock is also fucked now. So, the pension triple lock is the promise that pensions will always rise by the highest of 2.5% inflation or growth in average earnings. But because of the furlough scheme dropping a significant amount of earnings and then people coming back into work, average earnings this year are now up 8%. And obviously they just went, no, we're not going to do that, so you can have 2.5% instead. So that they've broken a second policy with their core fucking voter demographic there, which is quite funny because they don't really have any national insurance contributions to make.
This one they're only doing for 1 year, right? So like they'll have plenty of time to like buy them back
for a year. Yeah. We'll see.
But it's like they have to buy pensioners back at the end of the day. This is the Tory party, so
Rob, you've got to remember that they've got the fucking oldies on such a fucking lock compared to any other party.
Also, what are they going to do? Vote for the communist Keir Starmer? Don't be daft.
Yeah, also, to be perfectly honest, the real reason they're doing all this shit is because the Labour Party is controlled opposition at this point.
Yeah.
It's because the Labour Party is so shit and are unable to provide opposition that they're like, we're going to win anyway, so we might as well take the hit and not win by as much in exchange for doing things we really want to do. So let's fuck over the pensioners for the sake of our budget line. Let's increase national insurance rate to screw the poorers over, like this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like, they've just kind of looked at it and went, okay, as things currently trend, we're probably going to beat Keir Starmer by 20 points, so let's beat him by 10 points and do a bunch of shit we want to do.
James, are you trying to tell me that the Tories have noticed that the Labour have been behind them for 150 polls in a row?
No, I'll go further than that. I don't think the Tories have noticed. I think the Tories have probably engineered, not directly, but, to be perfectly honest, the Tories all have the press barons and all the rest of it in their pocket, and I am quite sympathetic to the conspiracy theory that Keir Starmer is being blackmailed by them. So,
yeah, I'm not there yet, but I get where it's coming from.
Yep. I'll ask you a question I've asked before, and that David has asked before, which is,
did Keir Starmer kill a cyclist while drunk?
We can only speculate.
What would be the material difference? How would you spot the difference is the question. It's a distinction without a difference at this point, personally, whether they're controlled opposition or completely inept. And I think the controlled opposition certainly explains more about the surrounding shit.
Yeah, that's all right.
So, on to the third policy. The dementia tax is back.
Woo! Hey! Never really left, baby.
Yeah, so this was the promise in the manifesto that no one needing care should be forced to sell their own home to pay for it. But they've put out a new social care plan. It does not include this commitment at all. The new plans include an £86,000 cap on lifetime care costs.
So is that do I have to pay out 86k first and then the government comes in, or is it like a regressive scale of some variety?
No, that's largely it. So you need to fork up so much cash for your own care, but after a certain point, they will not do anything.
Well, I read in the Spectator that apparently 18 to 24s have like 65k of wealth each on average.
Yeah, I've seen that fucking thing. Yeah, okay. Don't know where the fuck they're getting those numbers from, but alright.
Thing is, that fucking dementia tax thing, that was 2019.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That was an age when you could conceivably go into social care and then come back out and need a house.
Do you know, actually...
Whereas now, if you go into social care, you're just going to get COVID and die, so...
This is true.
It's not really a problem.
It wasn't even 2019, that was 2017. That was one of the things that really fucked over Theresa May, because she had this really weird fucking... refusal to back down and then a back down. I know.
It's a tattoo on your arm, Jamie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. For fuck's sake.
It's how you get around the bus.
Yeah.
So, because there's no guarantee on the homes aspect of this, if you can't fork out the 86k, you may be forced to sell your own home. Which is, cool, good, great. And again, that's exactly the demographic that the Tories rely on for their fucking vote share. So... very cool, very interesting. Acting with full-on impunity because they can.
I tuned the fuck out there. I was just thinking, if you paid for a packet of cigarettes with the time tattoo on your arm, does the time come off twice? Or does it count down faster as you're dragging on the tabs? Do you know what I mean?
I love referencing stuff that's not in the episode.
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Fuck's sake.
I live for this shit.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. It's been 100 episodes, Jamie. We've met.
Yeah, we're well fucking aware. So yeah, the reason that they can do all this shit, like James was saying, is they can effectively act with impunity because there is no meaningful opposition that will actually be selected by the electorate. Embodied purely in the response from Labour on this, which is Keir Starmer saying, the Conservatives are no longer the party of low tax.
Oh, okay.
That was it. Also pointedly refused to answer any questions about whether or not he would be supporting or opposing it. So
they're going to support it then?
Yeah. No, we might get a classic abstention. Let's wait and see.
Yeah. Oh yeah, abstention. We love those.
It's been a while since we've had one of them. Yeah.
It's great because it's just when they whip for an abstention, it's just the list of people who break the whip are either the worst people you've ever known because they're voting in favour, or the few remaining good MPs in the Labour Party because they all vote fucking against.
I love abstentions. I love abstentions. Is cowards voting, basically. Yes. And it's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's excellent to have abstentions in a democracy. Just fantastic.
So, on that note, though, like I said, it's 100 episodes. At 50, we did a little review of the previous year, so I thought maybe why not do that shit again? So we're going to look over the last year.
That's a real sort of positive thing you're pitching there. Why not do that shit again, you fucking listeners?
It was shit. It is shit. This podcast remains shit and will continue to be, and you fucking love it, listener.
Yeah, that's the podcasting as praxis promise.
Exactly. So,
premium manure.
Yes, exactly.
Let's all roll around in the mud together.
Yeah.
So,
it's essentially the audio equivalent of when you buy like a bag of dirt from a mining company and you have to pick through it to find gold.
Is that a thing?
That's a thing, yeah. It's basically real world loot boxes.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
You buy a tub of dirt from a mining company, and they promise it'll have at least like 3 grams of like gold in it or some shit.
I love to hear Jamie in an extremely tortured metaphor pan the podcast.
I'm just really picturing the idea now of like a giant cube of dirt, but packed in one of those little foil wrappers that you used to get like trading cards and that kind of stuff in.
What, like a fucking massive OXO cube?
Yeah.
Oh,
buying a fucking tub of dirt for a cube of dirt from the beef mine.
Right.
Dissolving it on Jamie's gravesite.
Oh, let's fucking go on with this, please. Please, I fucking beg you. So, going from the uselessness of Keith, I thought the first category that we should talk about should be the worst Labour dickhead.
Ah.
Yes. So, Honourable mentions first.
Is it all of them?
It's not. No.
Can they just form some kind of dickhead Voltron and make things easy for us?
Yes, it's called the PLP.
I'm afraid not. So honourable mentions first, because we've basically drawn up a short list here. So honourable mentions go to Keith himself, Dave Racism, of course, Owen Jones, Chris Bryant, the McShitter, and Angela Rayner. So thanks for playing, but not quite enough. Try harder next year.
No prizes for you.
Yeah, you've been outclassed.
Yeah.
Someone else gets to be the helmet in the Voltron.
Plenty of fucking helmets to choose from. So let's go through the list here. We have Jess Phillips.
Yes.
Of course.
A strong first contender.
Yes. I don't even really want to talk about her because I'm still reeling from the book.
Is this award just shaped like a potato smiley face? By shaped like, I mean is.
The potato smiley face for worst Labour dickhead.
New t-shirt design?
Jess Phillips for truly another astonishing year of self-aggrandizing, authentocratic bullshit. She's from Birmingham, don't you know? Launching a terrible,
that's
terrible
where she's
book.
from.
Yeah, she's from Birmingham.
Someone should have brought this up earlier.
Yeah,
if you're in Birmingham and you need a corpse disposed of, just ring her and tell her to send her husband round.
Yeah. I mean, being genuinely and generally a fucking nightmare throughout the year. Being given a minor cabinet position, shadow cabinet position under Keith, and then constantly being run out of brief, constantly being talked up by every single media dickhead as another authentic voice from working class from the north that we really have to. From the north.
I'm not sure she's from Australia, but let's carry on.
Imagine the Civil War. How much better it would have been if it was like the South versus the Noise.
It would have been better. And generally speaking, I mean, we've made this point on the double episode we did with Sinan about this, but if we're not very careful, Jess Phillips and everything like her is the future of the Labour Party. They're all going to be like this.
Yeah, but who gives a shit at this point, about the future of the Labour Party?
That's true, but it'll be insufferable.
I do, but only in one very specific direction.
Just so long as it's destroyed before the end of all humanity, David's still going to be very happy.
No, David doesn't care about the end.
I can't remember what a shadow cabinet position was, so I'm just going to assume it was like shadow minister for yelling at delivery drivers.
Here's the thing, though. David doesn't want, to spin out the length of the Labour Party's decline. He just wants to live 1 second longer than its death. Yes. That's what David wants.
Yeah, that is basically it, yeah.
Just end on a high note.
Yeah. Should we talk about the next person?
Yeah, well, speaking of death, Luke the Nuke Akehurst.
Yes.
Lukey Nukey,
what a guy.
Boy.
What a
Is this the guy who had a screaming match with children?
Yes, he very much did. He's been going off his fucking
nut. Did they ask him how he got his shirt so clean or something like that?
No, he's been going off his nut at Young Labour for having the temerity to be vaguely left-wing.
Yeah, I think his general point was that, essentially the children should serve to serve the party or something, and that if they, children should be seen, not heard. I think was the general point he was trying to make.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about this prick. He looks like a walnut made of ham. So fuck him. Do you know what I mean? We'll give him the Walnut Made of Ham award and he can fuck off.
Luke's never seen a moderately democratic institution that he doesn't want to just completely eviscerate, right?
Oh, actually, we should give him his full title, by the way, which is Failed Council Candidate Luke the Nuke Akehurst. Because he's done that a few times now. He is fucking hopeless. It took the Labour right all of their concerted effort and power to get him in as their only fucking pick on the NEC.
But what a pick.
In a proportional representation system. It took that much effort to just get one fucking guy on. It was him. So, yeah. Classics of his obviously include the desire to use nuclear weapons as first strike and deterrent type things.
Is he the guy that said we should use nukes for a rescue mission in Sierra Leone?
Yes, he fucking is.
I didn't realise that was Luke.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, how would you use a nuke on a rescue mission? Is it like, what if we set the nuke off over there?
I don't fucking know. You're the one that reads all the Tom Clancy novels. You tell me.
What you do is you take the meta magic feat that allows you to exclude allies from the blast radius with your fireball. It's pretty much the same logic.
So yeah,
maybe you wanted to launch some space vehicle into orbit using what they called like Orion.
Project Orion. Yeah. That's cool shit and good use of nuclear technology. More of that, please.
Just picturing now. Black Hawk Down and like NASA just wheeling a fucking like enormous rocket into the conflict zone to like pick up the soldiers.
Oh, okay. Next up, Lisa Nandy.
Yeah.
Lisa Nandy has had some powerful fucking takes recently.
Yeah, but since Afghanistan, it's been a wild ride of takes. I think the last thing I saw was yesterday's announcement that she said, well, Afghanistan was a mistake, but if we have limited interventions with clear goals, then it's fine. And then she cited Sierra Leone and Kosovo. And last time I checked, those were two stable democracies.
Well, I mean, Sierra Leone, the mistake we made in Sierra Leone was not rescuing people with nukes.
Yeah, clearly.
I mean,
my favorite Lisa Nandy fact is that like interview she gave where she was like, "Oh yeah, my dad was a socialist and he thinks I'm a prick."
I mean,
and he was fucking right.
Yep.
I was going to say, how many other like failed children of ardent socialists / left wingers do we have on this list today? Because I think Nandy's up there in that regard.
Well, you got to have Hillary Benn, surely.
Oh, I mean, Hillary Benn hasn't done much that I know of. Like, without Jeremy Corbyn to get in the way of, like, he's not really been that much of a...
Wasn't one of Tony Benn's other kids, like, coming the cunt, or...
Possibly.
Oh,
I'm sure that entire family's cussed after Tony.
There's another kid of Tony Benn who took up his aristocratic title again this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And he also took a seat in the House of Lords on the basis of that. And I can't remember his name. I just remember he looked like a
Lord Ben, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, Lord. Yeah.
Coming back to Lisa Nandy, like the Afghanistan take is particularly galling after that article that was in was it the New Yorker?
Yeah, the thing that I posted today. Yeah, it's really good. It just lays bare how completely hopeless we were going into Afghanistan. Arm in arm with the Americans and just trampling over literally anyone who didn't live in the right bits of it, basically. So, pretty fucking disgusting, and definitely puts her up a little bit in my estimation with regards to this award specifically. Yeah. The article is called "The Other Afghan Women" by Anand Gopal. It's in the New Yorker. It's incredibly good, and I thoroughly recommend that listeners read it if they have time.
Okay.
Anyway, back to the game.
If you need to find out if you have time or not, look at the glowing tattoo on your left arm.
Final nominee, Rosie Duffield.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake.
I mean, she's certainly I would argue that she's the most profligate of these candidates because she just, day in and out, she is at it. Like, I feel like the rest
she's
of
the grafter, yeah.
Yeah, she really puts her back into it, you know?
It's because she's got poster's brain as well. Like, she posts.
Yes. I mean, like, Luke is a pretty poster-brained guy.
Yeah, but he's also an MP. He's just a dickhead. Like, he has time.
Like, for Jess Phillips, it's effortless. Jess Phillips rolls out of bed in the morning after getting, like, whined at by her husband because she's spending too long on her phone answering emails, as we've established in her book. And it's just, she naturally slips into it. Whereas Rosie Duffield has to take a good fucking run up and work at it every day. She's the workman-like shithead on the Labour Party, basically.
I'm just trying to picture, like, Jess Phillips' husband, like, whining, you know what I mean? Oh, you're looking at that fucking phone again, like, you know what I mean? I put my back out moving corpses for, like, all your voters. Had to lay 3 patios this week. Where's me thanks?
You say that, but I can fully envision a constituent wants help. Yes, deal. Meme like coming out of that fucking relationship. I fully believe that's exactly the dynamic that goes on there. But no, Rosie Duffield is, she's like really putting the effort in. Every day I wake up and open palm slam a tweet onto the website. It's transphobic as hell.
And I do the moves right alongside the main character.
It's J.K. Rowling.
Rosie Duffield is the J.K. Rowling of David Miliband's.
Oh, excellent. So like on that note, so she's under investigation now. Functionally, this means nothing will change.
I mean, what the fuck does that mean? Oh, she's under investigation. What have they called? Poirot? Fuck off. Bergerec's coming around in a minute to look at a Twitter timeline. That'll fucking settle her.
No, they got Inspector Clouseau over. That's it. That's what they got.
That's ongoing at the moment. She's had trade unions going off at her, but she's been making new friends because she's also had a couple of articles in support of her in both The Spectator and Spiked, which is, great.
Friends you want to have.
Very good. Yes, friends is a Labour MP that you should have, of course. So, that's Rosie Duffield. And that's the 4 nominees. Who are we voting for?
Rosie Duffield?
I feel like Luke is a strong contender because he looks the way I feel.
Yes, right, okay. So I'm torn between I'm going to rule out Lisa Nandy because she's a prick, but there's more interesting pricks, basically, right? And so you're then left with Jess Phillips, Luke Vanuke and Rosie Duffield, and I think it's between Luke Vanuke and Rosie Duffield for me.
It probably is. Yeah.
I think it's got to be Duffield because Luke Vanuke doesn't fucking matter and has never mattered.
That's part of what makes him more of a worst Labour dickhead, though.
Yeah.
I mean, are we talking, when we say worst, do we mean worst in the sense of makes me feel the worst, or is actually going to be the
worst? Is the worst. I'm going to put mine down for Rosie Duffield.
For me, it's I'm going to put it down for Luke, simply because I think a lot of the shit that we've seen in the last year, like all the bullshit from the Labour Party, comes from this totally non-elected, never-seen, opaque bunch of bullshit that comes from people like Luke the Nuke, who matter a lot to the party, but who fucking in there like deer ticks, and we can't even remove when we vote for something.
Yeah. So this is the thing, like Rosie Duffield, she's awful, and yes, she's making trans everything horrible day by day and really just going for it. But Luke Vanuke is he's possibly worse for making Labour worse, if that makes sense. And I think that's what swings it for me.
What does that matter? Like, the Labour Party's like fucking shit, you know what I mean? It's just gonna... It's gonna crash into a fucking ravine on fire any day now, you know what I mean?
This is the thing. Luke is a danger to himself and the others around him in the Labour Party, effectively, because he's, as far as I'm concerned, Luke the Nuke is probably one of the best accelerationist factors that I can rely on for the destruction of the Labour Party.
So Davis flipped from worst Labour dickhead in Luke the Nuke to best Labour dickhead.
Oh, no. If we were going to go down that route, then it's a joint ticket between Jess Phillips and McShitter for me. You know this. But
that's true.
When it comes to worst Labour dickhead, it's got to be Duffield purely because she's an actual active danger to people who...
Yeah, you know what? You've persuaded me as Duffield.
Okay.
Yeah. She can actually do damage, whereas the rest of them can just be perpetually fucking useless.
Yeah, she does damage, the rest of them are just dangers.
Yes, let's go with that.
That's
all right,
that's
so
a good
congratulations, Rosie Duffield. Do not come down. So for the next award, none of the nominees had to have a Labour membership, although it probably would have helped their chances. It's the worst Lib.
That's true.
So, nominees here are every single Guardian columnist.
Just all in a big pile.
As a Voltron.
Yes, as a Voltron, yes.
Like you specifically told me we weren't allowed to do on the last the category. Before.
You're right, we weren't allowed to do that on the last category because that would have been very fucking simple.
Man, your system is bullshit.
Anarchy reigns, Jamie. Get used to it.
I mean, the thing about Guardian columnists, the ones who are ostensibly good have either left or been sacked. So
who are the good ones? There's that little monkey that I see on Twitter all the time. He looks sharp dressed as fuck. I like that little natty motherfucker. And I think that's it, isn't it?
Well, it's, the good die young. There's no good ones left.
Yeah, specifically. I mean, usually they're actually sacked for writing Tom Watson first.
Is the illegal sex octopus still writing for them?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, with regards to good Guardian or former Guardian columnists, one of the first people that comes to mind is Dawn Foster, who, rest in peace. She was far too fucking good for that publication.
Yeah. Well, she was.
Just
that's why they fired her.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, real rest in power. Frankly, she put her money where her mouth was.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And and what's left is people who will never, ever, ever give up their paycheck to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So
at best, you've got well-meaning libs. That's honestly the best that you can hope for out of any Guardian columnist.
Is that a thing? Like a well-meaning lib? Does that matter?
I think we're reaching a point where we can no longer say that really exists in good faith in the Guardian.
What's his face? Who's the guy that does a lot of the fucking climate writing for them?
George Monbiot is still good.
Monbiot,
he's still there.
He's a well-meaning lib.
I don't know. I think I'm better from spending a lot of time around various green parties of the globe. So.
And there's Aditya Chakraborty, who's also really good and fucking solid.
Yeah,
writing.
actually, okay. No, you know what? I'll give you that one unqualified.
We're not here to talk about good people, are we?
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
It's easier to list the good ones. Is the point?
Yeah, that's because the other ones, it's, I don't know, pick one. It's John Harris, Jonathan Friedland, Marina Hyde, Polly Toynbee, Zoe Williams,
Owen Jones,
Simon Jenkins. Also, what's this fucking?
I mean, to give the tiny, weeniest bit of credit to Owen Jones, he's the least worst of all of those people you probably just listed.
Andrew Rawnsley is fucking still there. Will Hutton is still there. Fuck me.
Yeah. To speak against Owen Jones no longer gets the benefit of the doubt. Not after this week.
No.
He's just been up to some absolute dangerous shit. And friend of the pod, Elijah, it's really funny, actually. If you want to go on Twitter and click on Owen Jones's tweet where he is mysteriously talking about Jewish issues, quoting his Jewish friends in Labour, but not by name, in those tweets, you'll have him responding to all sorts of people who disagree with him. But whenever a Jewish person comes in to disagree with him, and whenever friend of the pod in particular, Elijah, comes in to disagree with him, it's fucking tumbleweeds.
Yep.
He's an absolute danger and very disingenuous. So... No.
Yep.
Well, I mean, let's not make this the Owen Jones yay or nay episode, I think.
But he's still a Guardian columnist, so he is lumped into the Voltron.
He definitely goes into the Voltron.
I will actually just say, really, if you want an idea of why is every Guardian columnist here, see every fucking comment or commentariat we've ever done. Yeah. Because not only are the commentariat bits bad, but the comments that they evoke are just as bad, if not fucking worse. So
yes,
they do meaningful, ongoing brain damage to people.
Yes. Next up, Extinction Rebellion.
Another banner year for the defenders of the world's climate. Fucking
Listen,
hell.
Sorry, I have actually, won't surprise you to learn, I've recently joined Extinction Rebellion, and I think that's really unfair.
Have you bought a second home?
But that's none of your business. That's pure coincidence. And also, frankly, right, it's many of our members are landlords and police, and calling them libs is just really unfair. And I think you need to really create space and take a moment and really consider how you're using your privilege to further, the very worst parts of our society, and you're not really helping engage with the fight against climate. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go stand in front of this train.
I mean...
Yeah, so Extinction Rebellion are fucking, useless. Just absolutely fucking pointless.
Yeah, either run by cops or filled with so many cops that's functionally no difference.
They did one good thing when they sellotaped themselves to the roads outside the printing presses or whatever it was they did.
That's true. Yeah. That was one
everyone
good
immediately came down on them like a ton of fucking bricks,
including a fair series of people from within Extinction Rebellion.
Yes.
Yeah, and they vowed never to do anything good ever again.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you throw darts at a dartboard blindfolded, eventually you'll hit a bullseye.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they should do actually is go back to just making more people late for work by blocking electric public transport.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll make a really great difference.
While they're up on the roof of the electric trains, they should lick those overhead wires. I hear they taste like ice cream.
My favourite thing about XR is that they are like completely disavow themselves of any kind of politics, which is a baby-brained maneuver of like
are they
best variety.
Are they all fucking gamers? You know what I mean? Like politics in my climate crisis.
Honest to God, they genuinely would probably be more effective if they were gamers, and that's not praise of gamers. That's an indictment of how bad XR are. Like they genuinely formed XR landlords, attempted to get that off the ground. XR police as well, and they honestly think that this is a matter of solutions to problems. And solutions and problems cannot be political.
They didn't have to walk far to form XR Police, did they? That's technically a rebrand.
And to be clear, we said it on a previous episode, obviously not every single XR branch globally is complete dog shit, but they are all shackled to real ops.
But the XR Voltron is garbage.
Awful lot of Voltrons on today's episode, I've got to say.
Yeah, the head of the XR Voltron is just a massive fucking wheelie bin that's on fire.
Don't forget the big power sword that it wields for its political uses beyond politics.
It's not a Voltron. What it is, all the XR members, get up with their rings and they go, fire, water, wind, earth, heart, by your powers combined, I am the state. And police. Just a cop comes out the end.
Oh, yes.
Officer Planet is here, basically.
A cop comes out the end is a description of Tony Benn masturbating as well.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Next up for Worst Lib, Joe Biden.
Yes. The man who we all said would do exactly what he is doing now, which is keeping children in cages, but they're no longer cages, they're enhanced interrogation facilities or something. It's, spending more money on cops despite years of Black Lives Matter and a lot of that movement throwing their spot behind him.
They're not cages anymore. Bring your children to America so they can experience the fun cube.
Yeah. Joe Biden's Democrats, it's not cages when we do it, basically.
Yeah. They're not facilities. There's an argument I genuinely had with some fucking prick online. It's unhelpful to say kids are in cages under the Biden administration. I wasn't trying to be helpful. Do you know what I mean? To that senile old rapist, he can go fuck himself, quite frankly. If anything, I was trying to be the opposite of helpful. But thanks for the pointers.
It's like, they kind of look at you and go, listen, they're not putting kids in cages and force them to sleep on the floor, right? They're in structured facilities for processing their application for visa, during which case they are equipped with high heat retention blankets for bedding. And, it's like, is this kind of shit?
Yeah, I mean, it's good that Joe Biden's coming after XR, because with XR we've got a group that refuses to acknowledge the existence of political power. And with Joe Biden, we've got someone who acknowledges that political power exists, but just refuses to wield it to do anything good whatsoever. I mean, essentially overseeing and by dint of being, having control of... Is Congress and the Senate, is it? And they've got at the moment. Yeah,
they've got a lot.
All three branches of government refusing to do anything to do stuff like stopping the eviction ban that expired recently, the essential overturning of Roe versus Wade, a great system where...
What Joe Biden needs... What we need to see from Joe Biden if he wants to prove that he's serious about taking America into the challenges of the next decade and beyond is... He needs to bomb Texas and stop committing sex crimes.
That'd be a solid start. Although, very mildly in his favour, he did pull out of Afghanistan against everybody wailing that he should stay forever, including Lisa Nandy. So, there is that.
At the same time,
no, hang on.
If you pardon the expression on this one, he basically sleepwalked into that.
Yeah.
No, what happened with that one is politically it would have been untenable for him to do it just on his own. But fortunately, Trump came in and Trump negotiated the withdrawal that actually the serious policymakers in the United States and the serious imperialists wanted. They were like, listen, we don't want to stay here. Can we just get some deal that fulfills our goals? And they're like, well, we can't do that because it undermines the entire rhetoric of how we went in.
Do you know what it is, though?
Trump happily did that. And so Biden's like, well, we've got to stick with what the previous president agreed. Might not like it, but it is, true. That's his excuse to do what he wants to do anyway. Sorry, Jamie.
I was just going to say, like, the American foreign policy is like, you know what I mean? Like all the sort of like, oh yeah, the foreign policy guys, you know what I mean? And like cutting around in fuck with the lanyards and that in Washington. Basically, their actions are just the actions of like a spaniel that got into the medicine cabinet. Do you know what I mean? They'll be back in Afghanistan within a couple of years at most. Do you know? It's just like we need to get out of Afghanistan. Let's engineer that, and then like, oh no, fuck, we like need to go back in because all the people who make tanks are sad now.
I think they'll invade somewhere else.
Yeah. Like a consolation prize.
Afghanistan's sitting on the world's largest deposit of like fucking lithium or some shit, isn't it?
But no, it's not. That's made up. It's like significant lithium deposits detected. Okay, do you have like an estimated tonnage or anything? Stop asking questions.
Okay, but yeah. Obviously, it's made up. But do you know what I mean? Like, why is it made up? So they've got an excuse to go back in.
Yeah, no, it's just they're making noise about it now. But
that's never happened before where we've made a reason to invade a country. That's never happened.
I think they'll do it to somewhere else, right? They'll do it to Cuba or Venezuela or like they'll pick another country for the military-industrial complex. I think they're done in Afghanistan for now because they got everything they want.
I wonder if they're desperate enough for Iran.
I think that era's over. I don't think
which country on earth has the children that smell the nicest? That's the one he'll want to get into.
Right, okay, moving on. Emmanuel Macron, the golden god Jupiter himself.
Still around after all these years.
I've genuinely not heard anything about this prick for what feels like 17 years. So,
well, I mean,
it's because you know how when you've got a roaring waterfall, eventually it becomes like background noise? It's that.
Yeah, so it's an election year in France, so that means, and he's pretty much up against Marine Le Pen and the National Front or the National Revolution or whatever they're called now, and that means he's. I'm
going to guess it's probably the Le Front National or something like that, is it?
No, they've changed their name. Anyway,
no, I think it's Petit en Marche, I believe is the term.
But yeah, so now they had a debate a while ago with one of his ministers on the telly, where at some point even the Front National had to correct him and say, no, we do actually have freedom of religion in this country because the Macron party was going so hard against Islam in the country. I think a couple of days ago, in response to the fall of the Western presidents in Afghanistan, he said, we must protect ourselves from a wave of immigrants, which I'm sure is, that's what you want to hear. I mentioned it just now, but the Islamophobia is fucking wildly out of control. He withdrew support from his own party's candidate, a woman called Zahra Samahi, after she wore a hijab on an election poster, saying that hijab is not part of France, and therefore this woman will also not be a member of my party.
I mean, I wouldn't be like, I've been to France and it's shit. I hate to break that to him, like, do you know what I mean?
The last parts of France are pretty.
It's full of
dreadful.
Rude people and giant bees.
I will go on record and say that the good parts of France, the best parts of France, much like the best parts of the UK, are the parts that hate France and hate all that shit. Much like the good parts of the UK are the parts that hate the UK.
Yeah,
I think my favourite part of France.
The Basque parts.
Yes.
My favourite part of France was the ferry terminal, but only on my second visit.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't bore you with my opinions about France, but yeah, and also
France is shit.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Apart from the plating styles.
Plating styles are pretty classic and could mainly do with some updating. But there's like a nice sort of bistro revolution coming out of Paris these days.
Yeah, what's the optimum plating style for racism?
En français.
It really is great because, like, Macron really does just embody, like, it's just the apotheosis of all the, like, of the worst neoliberal, like, agendas throughout Europe.
Yes.
It's great.
Like, honest to God, as time goes on, Macron proves me and David's kind of slow-boiling thesis that libs are the counterweight to fascists, that they are two parts of the same political continuum. Because as time goes on, Macron is more and more fascist, to the point that actual fascists are getting whiplash and like watching it.
Yeah, but if he didn't do the fascism, then the fascists might get in, and then they would do fascism. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's kind of why he's also on the list, because still, like, hordes full of insane and stupid liberals, but I repeat myself, are still, completely in favor of him and think that he and the style of his politics represent the solution to anything. It's just fucking appalling, and that's why he's on the list for worst liberal.
Yep, and that list is finished. So, who should we pick? I can't even remember
who was on before fucking Macron. It feels like we spent an age talking about that.
Helpfully, I am just going to tell you.
All right, cool.
So, on that list we have every single Guardian columnist, Extinction Rebellion, Joe Biden, and Macron. Whomst is your pick?
Joe Biden.
I feel like I am gravitating to Macron because he is, like I say, just the embodiment of everything that I hate about liberalism. And as you said, David, and James, saying like this part of this same continuum of fascism.
Yeah, but have you considered Death to America?
Like, I think I'm going to go out. Damn. I'm going to go out on a limb and surprise no one and say that I think XR are the weakest entry on here because they're the fucking gullible rubes that the other three prey on for the most part.
Yeah, they're the Keir Starmers of this list.
Kind of, a little bit, yeah. Like, the Guardian columnists do the manufacturing of consent that expires the XR bullshit. And meanwhile, Joe Biden and Emmanuel Macron are the people who are actually wielding power and doing the terrible shit. So by this logic, I think XR goes off and then the Guardian goes off, which leaves us between Joe Biden and Macron. And it's tough. If we're going by who...
I'm going to give it to Macron on the basis of that he is genuinely fucking terrifyingly right-wing and turning even more so. And Joe Biden, while being a demented sex addict who sniffs hair, did pull out of Afghanistan.
And I feel you don't have got to give it to him.
You do not, indeed. You do not. I'm gonna give it to Macron.
See, I'm leaning Macron because I think Macron might be structurally more dangerous because, like, here's the thing: Biden, for all that he's awful, is not doing the fash thing in quite the same way, and Macron is and is spreading it around Europe pretty badly. So I think it's going to be Macron.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay then, so the winner of that award is Emmanuel Macron.
If it's any consolation, Jamie, we don't know that Macron hasn't done sex crimes.
If it makes you feel any better, the loser here is definitely us.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, with the worst lib decided, we can widen the ideological scope very, very slightly and ask who should win the worst MP.
Ooh. There's so many of them. Like
there are. So honourable mentions in this category go to Michael Gove, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Liz Truss, and Robert Jenrick.
Yeah, none of whom made it on the list, which is really special.
No, none of them were quite as shit enough to get onto the list. First nominee then is Priti Patel.
I mean, strong out the gate.
Strong, yeah. Jesus fucking Christ.
Speaking of fascists,
the next Tory PM, that's her.
I don't know about that.
I don't know
about that.
I reckon she is the next Tory PM.
I wonder if her voting base is too racist.
No, I think her voting base is racist.
She can do enough racism to counter any racism that may come her way.
And also, there's not that many, there's a lot of English racists, but there's not that many, BNP ones who, want to march in the street with flags. They all want to be racist, but they want to say, I'm not racist, I voted for Priti Patel. And that's why she'll get in.
Yeah, she's one of the good ones, and she's my friend.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, you might be right here.
Specific reasons.
I think you're all giving the British public, specifically like Tory voters, too much credit. I think they are all that racist. They pretend they're not. They wouldn't march down the street like with a burning cross or anything. But they get absolutely mad at you if you suggested that, like, maybe it's like fucking, do you know what I mean? Maybe it's time to stop like referring to the Chinese takeaway with that word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I am genuinely torn on this one. I'm kind of my instinct side with you, Jamie. I guess it really depends on who is the Conservative voter these days, which is a difficult question.
I think the Tory voting coalition, like, at least includes a significant portion of absolute headbangers who would like fucking like kill their neighbour for like thinning the gene pool of the white race or whatever.
Oh yeah, definitely. But at the same time, they would be very fucking happy to vote for the pro-gun votes candidate.
Yes,
like, regardless. She could easily be Prime Minister if she promised that she would personally gun down every single boat in the channel.
Well, I mean, she did that a psychotic bit in, what was it, Politico, when they were all asked what is, like, in this year of COVID, what did you enjoy? And they all said, like, you know, the walking the dog or, you know, sniffing coke, you know, the normal stuff. And then she said, I enjoy going out on raids, dawn raids with the police and showing the criminals that there's nowhere to hide. You know, like that, man. Yeah. I
mean, she fucking wishes, I mean, she dresses up in all black. She makes sure that people go to jail regardless of any sort of real due process or anything. So,
migration centres in islands far off the coast outside the legal jurisdiction of the United Kingdom and its courts.
Yeah.
I must have missed that Batman film.
Well,
it's basically Arkham Asylum, isn't
it? Like, she also, if you remember that incident in Glasgow where a community came together to basically say, no, don't take these people away and deport them, and the police were forced to release them, to the extent even Nicola Sturgeon was kind of forced to go on TV and basically go, we shouldn't do these, but it's not our, we don't have the right, it's up to Priti Patel. Patel's response to all of this shit tells you everything you need to know about her as a person. With regard to Glasgow and removal of people that had no legal right to be in the UK, I've already said my remarks today. We will continue to do that. That is effectively what the British public voted for. They want, and it's actually part of my legal duty as well as and responsibilities in terms of not just immigration enforcement, but removing those with no legal right to be here. And like she continued on, the incident alone, though, will very much strengthen the new plan for immigration, the work that we are doing to reinforce the legal powers that we have as a government, but also making sure that we provide legal protections of safety so that people are fleeing persecution and removing those with no legal basis to stay here. And if that all sounds a bit disjointed, it's because what she's actually thinking is, fuck you, how dare you, basically, but she's trying to parse it in real time into something that's vaguely, like, not even sympathetic sounding, but is vaguely palatable in a process kind of way.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to do that. It's the law.
Yeah. Like, she is a golem that exists to basically fuck over people like her ancestors.
So moved on from Voltrons to golems.
Well,
this is a mythological monster episode, let's be real.
Okay, so I think that's probably enough said on Priti Patel. The next one is a joint award. The reason it's a joint award is because it's more to do with the handling of the office of Health Secretary. So this one is a joint award for Matt Hancock and Sajid Javid.
Well done to the both of them. Really, from shipping the elderly into care homes without any testing, being responsible for over 130,000 excess deaths, for doing deals with your literal pub landlord to supply, I think, vaccines or test tubes or whatever the fuck it was. The nightmare of track and trace, which still doesn't work and costs more than several UK aircraft carriers, from the incomprehensible tiers to different levels to lockdowns, and none of which was communicated correctly, all of which was communicated with, we're not taking this seriously, thus leading to more extra deaths. Just every single last fucking thing that filled fucking hundreds of graveyards throughout the United Kingdom.
Well, I mean on
really
that note,
stunning job.
On that note, well done on the speedrun. It took Ian Duncan Smith almost a decade to kill that many people.
Yeah.
And they achieved it in a fucking year.
Yeah, next Tory
hit.
cabinet's going to just be in the millions. They're going to hit the 7 digits.
Fuckles. Pair of fuckers.
That's rough. I don't think you need to say anything more. Please move on.
No. Okay, next one. Next one's not a Tory. The next one is Clive Lewis.
Yes.
And the reason Clive Lewis is on this is because...
refresher of the cleansing of the palate with Clive Lewis there.
A nice light sorbet.
Cold diarrhea.
Clive Lewis makes this list for worst MP because he's such a fucking rube that does not understand the concept of being an MP in a parliamentary party system.
Or power. Or anything, really.
Or power, or anything along those lines at all, yeah. So,
I'm not sure what he's supposed to have done, but I feel like it's probably not going to match 130,000 dead.
Well, they can't all have 130,000 fucking dead.
Yeah.
Well, not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
But the reason for me that Clive is on here is because of the whole Progressive Alliance bullshit, which is terrible and stupid, as we've discussed on a previous episode. And really, he's here because at least a fraction, if not a significant fraction, of the sort of softy lefty people that are not the revolutionary vanguard, but that we would like to have behind us, will be following Clive down this fucking rabbit hole of the Progressive Alliance, thereby sapping much needed energy out of a movement that needs to grow and quickly. So that's why he's on the list.
Yes, he is a full-on danger to the concept of any sort of electoral progress that can be made.
Yeah, exactly.
Final entry here is Therese Coffey.
Yes.
Now, you're going to have to explain this one to me.
Therese Coffey is the current Ian Duncan Smith.
Yeah, she's the head of the DWP.
Head of the DWP, yep. So she has presided over within the last year at least, the now confirmation of the cut of the extra 20 quid on universal credit. It's costing people on universal credit $1,000 a fucking year when they're already on an absolute fucking pittance. And also the resumption of work capability assessments while the pandemic was still ongoing, well before it could be expected that everyone had a chance to be fully vaccinated. So, very fucking cool. Well done there.
Yeah. And also in a conversation, this was about the free school meals, she was snarky at Marcus Rashford, who said, parents are without hot water and you should think about that before you cut people's food or their 20 quid or whatever it was. To which she replied, yeah, but water can't be disconnected. Cold water maybe. So it's the reason for me she's on this list is because she's one of these people who's not all day, every day in the headlines doing the big stuff, but she is in there all the time being like a psychopath and a monster.
The banality of evil.
Yes, thank you. The banality of evil. She is here because she's the poster woman for the banality of evil.
Yeah. That's what got her on the list. And like we said, the honourable mentions, none of them have really done anything that fucking outright obvious.
Well, Robert Jenrick was, but he didn't do shit bad enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's your 4 options there. So is it Priti Patel
it's
and
the health secretaries, obviously, isn't it?
If we're going purely by body count, but I find... I think that Priti Patel's are
I feel like to measure it by any other metric would seem flippant.
We don't want to accuse this podcast of ever being flippant.
I think it's between the health secretaries and Priti Patel.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much where I am.
And it's about not just deaths but also human misery is a large part of this.
Yes.
Because Priti Patel is responsible for a significant amount of human misery, but doesn't even get counted like the deaths from COVID do.
And it's not just what she's actively, literally doing right now, but it's like the trajectory that she is on.
Well, then she can win it next year.
There's always next year, Priti. You'll get it next time. I say as I'm led to the detention centre.
Yeah, I mean, we should say these awards are for events occurring essentially from now to a year ago, so start of September 2020. So it is hard not to give it to the health secretaries.
Oh yeah, fully, yeah, definitely.
Honourable runner-up, Priti Patel in that case. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
I think Jamie's persuaded me. I think let's she's probably going to be it next year.
Yeah.
The way things are going.
Junior Brown Shirt Award to Priti Patel, and Matt Hancock and Sajid Javid joined first.
Yeah.
They get the Mengels Award.
Yes.
Fucking hell. Jesus.
Oh, sorry, was that too dark?
No, it's pretty on point.
Okay, well, if that's the worst MPs decide, where would they be without a media class which would unflinchingly and relentlessly support them?
Are we about to give an award to Dan Hodges?
No.
Other category.
This is the worst journalist.
Hey.
What a category! I mean, we've got the real cream of the crop, I think, for this
hell.
one.
Yeah, Jesus. So first up, last year's runner-up, Robert Peston.
Wait. Honourable mentions, David.
That's true.
Sorry, honourable mentions. Okay, so yeah, honourable mentions for this is we've got Helen Piss, we have Brendan O'Neill, and Pippa Crerar.
Yes. Terrible. All three of them. Just fucking shit. But not as bad as our four leading contendants.
Brendan O'Neill might be difficult to call a journalist because indeed he is more of a columnist, but I just wanted
Pippa's
to give
hard
him...
to call a...
He just needs some sort of recognition.
He's more of a fucking column.
Nice.
Nice. Extremely good.
Oh, okay. So yeah, first up, we have last year's runner-up, Robert Peston.
I'm going to try not to scream. I just, a man.
I stand by it. I was right last year, and I was voted down.
I feel the spirit of Elijah is like clawing at the door of the podcast. I'm just going to get out of the way and go, Roberto Pesto. And just like, there you go, Elijah, that's for you.
I mean, a moron, a cretin, of just a postulous interloper in the halls of journalism. I mean, what's left to say? But I mean, my principal objection to the man is his constant, oh, it's me, Robert Peston. I'm just asking questions, Governor. I've just
He's constantly on his first day at work, it feels like.
He's
constantly
just perpetual fucking new guy.
Just taking every single credulous WhatsApp text message, nude picture he gets from the fucking Tory press machine and just vomits it out, just laps it up like a fucking starving dog in the street.
I feel like you could replace him with some kind of like animated gecko and nothing would fundamentally change.
You could replace him with one of those fucking the cow says moo type devices, and you would get just as hard hitting journalism.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of his hard hitting journalism, he wrote a book this year with a very thin.
Was it a sex book? I always love when people related to politics write a sex book.
I think there was sex in it, but I can't remember.
Yeah, of course there was. Of course there was.
It was a
thriller.
I bet
it was painful to fucking read as well.
A very thinly veiled Robert Peston, where he's a good journalist. And
speaking of, do we have a category for like most disturbing celebrity novel sex scene?
No, we don't. We'll not be reading out the fucking Giles Corrin bit. No, it's not happening.
I didn't mention Giles Corrin, but now that you bring him up.
Can anyone hear rattling?
I mean, and in a very specific case, this is a thing he did for some fucking podcast with Joe Lycett, where he tried to explain the economy by way of the rising costs of a packet of Freddos, and I hate it. And I hate it so much. I hate him so much. Just like this childlike simpleton.
That's just really easy. I could do that. Like, you know what I mean? The economy's shit, and therefore Freddos keep getting more expensive.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not complicated stuff. The economy's made up. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's the adult version of like the bogeyman or something. Do you know what I mean? Oh, we can't pay for like hospitals, or the economy will get you. Fuck off. Do you know what I mean?
It's the state of his
economy's been stalled. There'll be no milk today.
It's the state of his fucking actual interviews as well. Like he throws the most softball questions. It's fucking unreal. In fact, if he was ever to be a pitcher for anyone, it would be for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Oh no!
It's just an appalling.
Oh, David.
Appalling, man. I hate this man. It's just beyond words.
He's the worst.
Has he ever made a noise like a lizard while talking to the leader of the opposition? Though?
His one redeeming feature there. Well done. You found it. Oh, okay. Next up, we have Paul Mason of the planet Arrakis.
I was just going to say, he's like, you know what I mean, eagerly awaiting fucking like the British release of Dune, isn't he? or to give it its full theatrical title, Dunk.
Oh yeah, Paul Mason's just been consistent in his failure to realise that Jeremy Corbyn is no longer in charge of the Labour Party.
I mean, the man's
and also
a fucking
his
idiot.
realisation that Keir Starmer will never hire him. That just won't happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just completely fucking unaware of anything.
I think the only difference between like Paul Mason and one of those like Wazzicks you see from like, you know, that's like, oh, he's famous on YouTube and he's branched into politics. You know, what was that prick fucking like Coffin the other day where he was like fucking leftism is inherently like monarchist or some shit. The only difference between him and Paul Mason is I presume Paul Mason's dad knew someone that could give him a job.
Yeah, just fucking hopeless.
Paul Mason would probably be happier on YouTube now that I think about it. Like, do you know what I mean?
I mean, he's got some fucking banger videos on YouTube. I'll say that much.
I would urge you to look up just look up his website. He's got a YouTube video embedded there in which the first thing he asks you to do is posit, what if the Nazis had a time machine? And it just gets dumber from there.
What if Justin Timberlake?
Well, fuck off.
I'll be honest, I mean, he's got to find something to do because he certainly doesn't have a future as an erotica writer if you read his books.
Oh, no. Jesus, that came out in the last year as well, didn't it?
Does anyone's dick rattle around in a tin bath?
I mean, he talks about jutting up toward her chrysanthemum, which ought to be all you need to know.
Oh, that's got me up the runway.
Can you guess the ethnicity of the people involved by any chance?
Absolutely, fully, yes. Jesus. Paul Mason's sex book brackets Chinese. Okay, so next up we have Sebastian Payne, the briefcase wanker.
No, it's Seb Briefcase Wanker Payne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The PlayStation 2 version of Michael Gove.
Previously writing for The Telegraph and The Spectator, and quite frankly never really left those two institutions while formerly employed by the Financial Times. Among his crimes this year, when sort of fantasizing about the next election campaign...
Were his crimes this year looking like Pob's illegitimate child?
Wow.
Said in his sort of fantasy elections, it would be PM George Osborne going to the country against Labour leader Jess Phillips.
How is such a sick individual still employed for this long?
Fucking hell. A fantasy election. You could have it literally anyone in all of like time and history. You could have Gandalf and you pick George fucking Osborne.
Yeah.
For my fantasy election. Imagine Seb Payne's Lord of the Rings. What a fucking riot that would be.
I take it from that matchup that he's a fucking Lib Dem though, because that's the kind of thing that fucking Lib Dem would say, because they never have their guy as the like leader of the opposition or the like incumbent PM.
Well, I think if like there was a teleporter accident involving George Osborne and Jess Phillips, you would get Swinson.
wrote in January like a truly appalling piece called "Britain After Brexit: Behind Boris Johnson's Green Conversion."
Oh, was this another one of these like fantasy things?
No, he took the idea that Boris Johnson actually wanted to do something about the climate seriously. I mean,
I love those fucking things, like the first 100 days of Jeremy Corbyn's Reich.
Yeah, the FT doesn't quite do those, unfortunately. But like, just I mean,
then it's a shit paper, and you shouldn't read it.
completely face level, completely captured by the machine. And also there was this, which was fucking ridiculous, when he said, I've learned the same lessons as this in 2020. I absolutely want to go back to my stressed, cramped, overly expensive life. I want underwhelming sandwiches that cost £5.99, and I want flat pints that cost the same. I want to be on the tube at rush hour, crushed between sweaty men, on my way to a on my way to a pub full of the worst people on earth. I want to say things like, yes, I'd love a drink. I could do Wednesday after next or Tuesday after that.
So have we been calling him the wrong thing this whole time? Is he sub Payne?
Jesus.
Just, fucking terrible, terrible, tiny Tory briefcase boy. And my personal reason for putting him on this list is that I think the FT is a wildly good paper overall and completely let down by this guy and adult Tintin Jim Pickard, who was also a prick. But he blocked us on Twitter.
He didn't read out the key part of that quote there, which was, this year has not changed me one bit. I have not grown or evolved, coming from a guy who perpetually looks like a 16-year-old in a suit. So that's great.
I want to get back to exactly what I had before I was doing before Corona started. This is what I've learned from 2020.
Do you want to take that again? Because you had a stroke in the middle of reading that. Yes, it was very much. Has anyone ever wanted to use "Go Want to Do" look more like?
All right, this year I smell toast and my left arm is tingling. This year has not changed me one bit. On. I have not grown. I have not evolved. I want to get back to exactly what I was doing before it started. This is what I learned from 2020. Just fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. 130,000 deaths, and you just want to go back and, I don't know, lick the cum off the sidewalk outside of Pret. What the fuck? Just get the fuck out of here.
I mean, technically, no one's evolved. That's not how evolution works, is it?
That is true. That
Unless
is
you're
very
a Pokemon.
True. Yes.
Is he a Pokemon? Is he a lazy Pokemon?
He'd have to be Mr. Mime. Is there a Mrs. Mime?
I literally the only Pokemons I know is like Pikachu and Charizard.
Fucking hell! Right, and finally, then we have
after the sausages.
And finally, then we have Polly Toynbee.
Yes.
My favourite also ran.
A favourite of comment or commentariat. I don't have any specific thing. I've got a couple of articles here that I can just read out the headlines to.
Go on.
With Biden elected, a no-deal Brexit would make Britain a pariah. It can't happen.
Oops.
Yeah. Generation COVID has been hit hard. Thank goodness they're not resentful yet.
So this right here is her basically, reverting to normal, right? Now that the great reset of the 2019 election has been and gone, Jeremy Corbyn's out of the picture, we can start going back to things could be better, but it's a shame that they're not. Yeah. Because this fucking woman was instrumental, in part, in strangling in the crib a movement that might have actually made things better for Generation COVID.
Yeah, but she doesn't want things to be better for Generation COVID, if that is their real name. Do you know what I mean? She just wants people to think that she wants better things for the world and isn't a fucking super sour hermit that lives in a shoe somewhere. I don't know where I'm fucking going with this. Can we get a move on? The glowing tattoo on my left arm started to flash.
Oh. All right then. Okay.
So really, seriously though, the heat is fucking killing me.
Yeah, it's doing me in as well. So Polly Toynbee, Seb Payne, Paul Mason, and Robert Peston. Who wins?
It's nice to have a category where the shit's actually funny for once instead of at least you say we like about Paul Mason, he hasn't killed over 100,000 fucking people that we know of.
Oh boy!
I think I have to give this to, in my opinion, it's Robert Peston, because he's just incipient fucking Rube.
No, I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it to Mason because he's the funniest of them, I think.
So here's the thing, right? I'm with Jamie. I would give it to Paul Mason because he is the funniest. However, I feel like in the past year, Roberto Pesto found out he didn't get the award, and he, most people would quit. Most people would drop out at that point. Is
Robert Peston going to navigate a space freighter for you? I don't think so.
I tell you what, though, he has fucking doubled down in the past year. Like, he was a close contender last time, and in the past year, he's just continually kept at it and upped the ante in a slowly, incrementally increasing march of doom and dumbness.
Like I say, he's been working tirelessly to get specifically on my nerves.
Like, he almost is at the point where he deserves a Lifetime Achievement Award. I think I'm going to have to give it to Robert Peston.
Yeah, in terms of man most likely to give me an aneurysm, he is probably the winner.
I disagree. I think the spice must flow. And only one candidate can guarantee that.
The Melange Award for Worst Journalist goes to...
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm going to need to say Peston as well, because like I say, I was fucking robbed of that award to him last year.
No, he wasn't last year, but he definitely is this year.
Yeah, but it's a proud winner. Oh, and with David, before we close this category, can we just say a quick shout out and thank you to Mick Wright, Broken Bottle Boy, who helped supply some of the ammunition for this category. So thanks, Mick.
Yeah, I think Mick helped with the following one as well. So, although all those journalists are played by brain spiders, there's another disease that our worst journalist shares with these people up for the award, and that is the worst blue tick.
This is a big category, this. It's hard to pin them down.
So, the worst blue tick, first one goes to...
honourable mentions.
Again, honourable mentions. Start again.
So, honourable mentions for worst blue tick are Elon Musk, anyone with hashtag FBPE in their name still, and Paul Profs.
Yep.
A lot of overlap between those last two, I think.
There is a lot of overlap, but some Paul Profs are smart enough to leave that out, but dumb enough to be Paul Profs. So, swings and roundabouts. Full representation, we like to see it.
We like intersectional awards on this show.
Something that, ironically, Paul Profs would understand nothing about.
They should just know that we're doing them a favour.
So, the first nominee here is another joint nominee. It is Dan Hodges, Ian Dunt, and Matt Chorley, or, as I've termed them here, the fishhook theory victims.
Magnificent.
Wild agrocentrism.
I'm struggling to think of anyone else you could name who would beat them.
Let's get through the list.
Proper triumvirate.
So it really is the Three Amigos rides again with this one.
Okay, so first up then, Charlie specifically ran the best PM that never was thing on his fucking radio show, and then
Times
lost
Radio,
his mind.
we must be specific.
Oh yeah, okay, Times Radio, yeah. And then lost his mind when Jeremy Corbyn won.
He also did a wildly bootlicking interview with the current director of MI5 and just essentially said, thank you for keeping us safe from the terrorists. And then last week did a wildly off the mark and bootlicking piece in the Times about the next series of Spitting Images, where he said that Unfunny Man Fat Morley was actually really good fun.
Good old Matt Foldy. Prick.
Yeah. So that was Matt Chorley. Dan Hodges on the other side.
Oh yes, Dan Hodges. A COVID public inquiry. That's the very last thing we need.
That's just the sound of my spirit leaving my corpse.
Yeah. There was also all the stuff with, remember when there was that fucking... They kept saying there was a mole in Downing Street, leaking information, and it was all around the time of Cummings leaving. Yeah. So he was convinced that there was a mole, and he got in an argument with an actual journalist, Robert Smith, And he says, but there is a mole. You're not disputing that now. And then Robert Smith is simply asked, what is a mole? I'm a journalist. I talk to sources. If they tell me something that sounds interesting, I try to verify it. Like, very, very fucking straightforward.
May as well be speaking in fucking hieroglyphics to Dan Hodges.
You have to read the second bit of that wonderful Robert Smith line where he says, apologies, as I write about finance, where the commentary is a bit more reality-based, I'm a bit taken aback.
I mean, that works on several different levels. Yeah. That's really good.
Dan Hodges remains one of the most fucking stupid people with a blue tick. Yeah. And finally, to finish off the triumvirate, Ian Dunt, host of...
That's not how you say his name, but I'll let you off this time.
Yeah, the host of the show Romaniacs, which rebranded itself...
Romaniacs.
Yes, which rebranded to Oh God, What Now? Also released the book How to Be a Liberal, which was published in January this year, praised by Caroline Lucas, James O'Brien, Anne Applebaum, Nick Cohen, and David Schneider. From the first page, neither the people nor the elite exist. So I've got a little excerpt from this book here.
Fuck me, this is actually painful.
Wait. There is a system of thought which understands what is happening to us and offers the means to resist it. Its name is liberalism. It is the single most radical political programme in the history of humankind.
Oh God! I'm going to invite Ian Dunt to shove this entire book up his dick.
This is not because of its conclusions or its tactics. It is certainly not because of the political parties that bear its name. It is because of its unit of analysis. Liberalism is the struggle for the freedom of the individual. Where it is truly followed, it can never be the tool of the powerful. It can never be used to oppress. It can only liberate.
Remind me what the dominant ideology of the entire slavery period was?
Cultural Marxism.
No.
I mean, does this guy not know why we call it fucking neoliberalism?
Because it's new, more approved liberalism, less calories, more flavour.
Fuck's sake.
Like, again, listener, please, find this man, chain him down, and force him to read Liberalism, A Counter-History by Domenico Lucerdo, rest in power. Jesus fucking Christ. Just so...
Yeah. So...
Also, I just want to say, it's the struggle for the freedom of the individual. No, it's about property rights. It's literally it. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's freedom to have property apart from the collective of the people, basically. And the collective of people may be represented as a king, it may be represented as a state or whatever, but it's about having the freedom to have property that you can withhold, and by extension, the ability to oppress others.
Yes.
And also the freedom to take that property from people that, by reason of magic and trickery, are not really people, i.e. everybody in North America before 1492.
Yeah, my t-shirt that says I'm free is raising a lot of questions already answered by my t-shirt, because freedom does not exist as a political concept without slavery. Right? This is real basic shit. Like, if one thing is categorically distinct from another by its relationship with the other, the two are contingent on each other. And the freedom obsession of liberalism only exists because liberalism is actually about forms of slavery and forms of ownership, fundamentally. Right? That's what this is about. And for more on this, again, read the fucking book. Don't listen to whatever the hell this is. I'm not fucking surprised Caroline Lucas liked this.
We've been doing it for quite a while.
Do you reckon the pre-order for his book came with a pair of calipers?
Okay, so the reason though that they are there is for their posting, and their posting is fucking terrible. They will constantly get extremely het up over the dumbest shit, and frequently bemoan the state of the world and be confused about why it is the way it is after doing all that they did to ensure that this is the way it is.
And also, particularly with Dunn, we'll put a fucking 1,000-tweet long tweet thread about the most banal shit you never thought about. And it's just like, what? shut the fuck up, please. God.
If only. Next up.
If only.
Alistair Campbell, a small bean whom very sad. He's a depression advocate now.
He's been that for a while, but it's the shield for
he's a precious little boy who's going through tough times right now and really needs our support and our understanding. And we can't be mean to him.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it must be really tough to go to bed with that many ghosts haunting you at once.
I was going to say, if we're talking about body counts...
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's just fucking useless, the usual shit, and like, any sort of fucking political take that he'll put out is just absolute dog shit. And honestly, he very much does fall in with the hashtag FubPlot still to this day, and his post, like, he's not giving up on that shit.
Every time, like, you comment on one of his threads negatively, there's like a whole bunch of FubPs that come like out of the woodworks, and when you point out that he's a literal war criminal with fucking blood on his hands, they're like, Iraq was so long ago, why are you still complaining about that? There's Brexit now, don't you know?
Well, I haven't seen a conviction from The Hague, actually.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
There will be a conviction in the People's Tribunal. Not that the justice won't be fair.
Next up, perennial blue tick, J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Come on, Joanne, I know you got it in you.
You can do it.
I do not think she will struggle in the voting.
No.
No.
I mean, unless you're about to announce like fucking Satan himself as an entry, I think I've made my mind up.
I do like the idea of Satan himself having a verified Twitter account.
So J.K. Rowling, as per the queen of transphobes, fully fucking surrounded by them at all times. I wonder why that might be.
Hive mind prime.
The crowdsourcing of ideas for a book.
Yeah, like, fuck, is all I have to say to this. Just genuinely, like...
It must be nice to leverage like such a large following to make your work easier.
I think it's disgraceful that she is, like, by doing that, she is stealing ideas from Limp Bizkit. Because I'm sure I remember a thing years ago when their guitarist left and they auditioned for a new guitarist and they, like, travelled around America, like, listening to people play, but you had to play an original composition, and in the, like, small print you signed, they then owned that composition.
Fuck.
Yep.
So it's like fucking Dota and Blizzard.
Yeah.
One for the nerds.
I love it.
She's even more incompetently doing that because she's crowdsourcing ideas for books on Twitter, basically.
I love that you say one for the nerds there, as if Limp Bizkit and fucking J.K. Rowling books are like the most Chad of hobbies.
Well, they are the most powerful cultural output of the 2000s.
Damn, that one hurt.
What year did Justin Timberlake film In Time come out? Because that's got to be a contender.
Oh, fuck's sake. There's also the, obviously not so much the fucking Twitter output, but she's obviously had the 5th book in the Cormorant Strike series.
The series of books, by the way, that didn't sell for shit until her publisher leaked by accident that it was her.
What a tragic
accident.
And
do you know, I get really annoyed by this because I had a conversation with someone who I care about very much, and we were talking about this, and I said, she's a shit author, and you can tell from the fact that essentially she sold like garbage until they intentionally announced the fact that she was really whatever the fucking fake pen name is she uses. And a friend was like, oh, well, I thought they sold okay and they went to great lengths and we were actually really upset when it was revealed. And it's like, well, they probably were, but it had to be, you know? Like, she did not sell well because she cannot write well. She just can't write well.
I mean, that's evidenced by the name of the fucking detective, I would imagine. Like, I'm Chicken McBird. And I'm here to do fucking, like, investigations of your crime.
Law.
Yeah.
Honest to God, a book about bird law related detective kind of work that would be
fucking amusing. I'd read the hell out of that. But yeah, the 5th book called Troubled Blood is out this year, and it features a serial killer who lures his victim in by dressing like a woman and therefore not seeming to be threatening.
What a novel idea for a book. Where she got that idea?
Fuck off,
there is also a specific scene where the hero and his sidekick discuss and come to the conclusion that the best way the killer could have gotten in was by wearing a burqa, because then the cameras couldn't pick up a face either. We're at that level. We're there. Fuck you, J.K. Rowling.
I'm going to invite J.K. Rowling to shove this book up Ian Dunt's dick hole.
So what I want to make clear here, whether or not she wins this category, this should be proof that J.K. Rowling has always been about ideology. Even the Harry Potter books, they are explicitly about pushing that ideology, and that's why she was made into a success, right?
So the problem with J.K. Rowling is she's got Poster's disease, but in the real world. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and when Blair was in power, she got to go to like number 10 and be like lauded as this great fucking thing. Oh, look, cool Britannia. We've got shit books about wizards at a school. Do you know what I mean? Like fucking.
And also, she gave £1 million to the Labour Party under Ed Miliband.
She used to be somebody, and nowadays she doesn't get that kind of, you know what I mean? Like diminishing returns on like tweets about actually the wizards just used to shit themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Let's not forget the fucking anti-Semitic fucking banker goblins.
Yeah,
which is extremely like just passes without comment.
The Harry Potter books. I understand that they're like a beloved part of many people's childhoods, but they're fucking wank. Written by an idiot.
It's a good thing that the author dies the minute they finish writing something.
Yeah, that is my understanding of like that phrase. Yeah.
Yeah.
Riley of TF's iron law of once you start posting turf, you'll never post normal again continues to be true.
Yes.
I mean, she was circling the drain for a little bit and then just went in with both feet, right? She just like, yeah, fucking love this shit.
Like, all 7 of the turf accounts that run botnets on Twitter to, like, you know what I mean, trying to appear bigger than they are. Like red pandas of, like, fucking hate crime. They're just trying to look big. So they're running like, I've got 7,000 accounts and I've done like 800 tweets on each about the transphobia of the day. They all just tell her she's really cool and she's addicted to that. You know what I mean? Because everyone else told her, that sounds really stupid that the wizards used to shit themselves and then magic it away. Why are you telling us this? This sounds like the ravings of an insane person.
I do wonder who pays for the turf botnets sometimes. It'd be really interesting to find that out someday.
I don't know who pays for the botnets, but I imagine they live in a massive church in America.
Yeah. But
I know they might be closer to
home. A
lot
of that is, like we say, tangential to the blue tick element specifically. On Twitter, though, she's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And finally, Stella, please do not contact me again, Creasy.
Has Stella Creasy ever tweeted about wizards shitting their pants?
Not yet, I don't think.
But you shouldn't tweet that at her either, because then you get in the way of her contacting her constituents on Twitter, which is a thing that happens all the time.
I'm going to put out a call. If you are a constituent of Stella Creasy, ask her for her official fucking stance on wizards shitting their pants.
Mm-hmm. As your constituent, you are entitled to ask this.
Exactly. But only if you are her constituent. Otherwise, she's far too busy name searching.
Now, if you're not a constituent, then just wear a fake mustache and pretend you are.
Yeah. Or if you are Stella Creasy and by name searching you found this podcast, answer Jamie's question. What the fuck?
I mean, the reason Stella Creasy is here as one of the worst blue ticks is because she is a blue tick on a platform.
Because she constantly fucking melts down about people talking to her on the platform designed for... Like, people have contacted her in an unsolicited fashion on the platform designed to do that.
Yes, people have actually talked about her and not to her and then been told not to contact her again.
Yeah.
Just fucking useless. And obviously, one of the other elements of her posting has been the Taliban ISIS relationship that she will not shut the fuck up about.
No, look, David, they're best friends, and I know this because I read it in Spiked.
I know this because I saw Stella Creasy octupling down on it.
Yeah, Jesus. She would not fucking let it go. People told her she was wrong.
Please
she
bless
was
me with the confidence of someone like Stella fucking Creasy.
I know, right?
Sorry, Stella, please do not contact me again, Creasy.
It got to the point where she was actively pulling up articles that said the express opposite of her point and using that as evidence that actually she was right.
Yeah,
she's not even attempting to shuffle the goalposts. She's just went, no, actually, I'm right. It says in here.
Yeah, she's hoping that, like, you know, because a good solid rule of, like, internet arguments is that no one ever reads the fucking article. But if it's going to prove Stella Creasy wrong, people will go out of their way to read the article.
Exactly. Okay, so...
but it's J.K. Rowling by a fucking mile.
Well,
I don't know. It's worst posting, and it's the triumvirate of Dante.
I know. I mean, purely in terms of posting.
I think if J.K. Rowling had been run over in, like, 1998, then there'd be way less transphobia on, like, British Twitter today.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If J.K. Rowling had been run over in 1998, Scotland would probably be an independent country. Sorry, David.
Doubt.
Like, you know.
So
she made a huge intervention at the time.
Nah.
Was it somehow wizard themed?
In terms of she had a whole bunch of money that she was hoarding inexplicably,
it's the bagpipes of Scott Pole.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
Alistair Campbell and Stella Creasy can fuck off, and they can fuck off out of this list, because I think it's either the triumvirate or it's J.K. Rowling. I think it's J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's the triumvirate.
I think just by the pure technicality of this being for the last year, it's the triumvirate. Purely on that, because otherwise, if we're talking like lifetime achievement awards here, then J.K. Rowling wins this one hands down. But we're not. We're talking about the last year, so I think it's.
I'm going to be honest. I think you're wrong, and the reason you're wrong is it takes three of them to equal and maybe potentially exceed J.K. Rowling. If you broke them down individually, J.K. Rowling would curb stomp any one of them. But they're in the
same category. You can't just change the rules like this.
I can do as I please.
I think it's like, you know what I mean? You're not allowed to just lump the three of them together like the last Vikings or some shit. You know what I mean? It should be one person, one vote, sort of.
It is one person, one vote. There's five of us and we've got 5 votes.
Yeah, I will. Right, here's the thing. I accept the argument that you lump them together as a part of the group, and the group is the fishhook theory victims, right? That fishhook theory victims, going head-to-head with J.K. Rowling, I think she beats them. And I think she beats them quite handily.
I think it's close, but I think it's the triumvirate still.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Well, bold strategy. Let's see if it pays off.
You're not my pod dad. David's my pod dad.
Well, the split here is down to you, Alistair.
Yeah, who do you love more?
Who do I love? If I don't vote for J.K. Rowling, Jamie's going to make my life hell when we're streaming.
Yeah, you don't need Ian Dunt. We've got Ian Dunts at home.
Purely out of fear for Jamie's wrath, I think I'm going to have to vote for J.K. Rowling.
All right then.
The system works.
From J.K. Rowling, let's cover the most normal island event of the last year.
It's been a banner fucking year for this this sceptred isle.
Hasn't it?
Trebles all round to the normal club.
So what year were the clown shoes of respect?
That would have been 2019.
Yeah.
It was, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Jamie's devastated.
Yeah, I fucking love that little guy.
Okay, so first up, 5 entries in this category. We have.
Can I just do a quick honourable mention, because I think we talked about it the other day on the stream. Was and the reason it's an honourable mention is because it didn't happen in the last year. Is the fucking Poppy Crystal Maze statue thing, where they put a statue in a big perspex box and they fucking poo poppies around it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourite things.
I want to give an honourable mention, and this is definitely from the last year. That makeup artist who painted herself to look like Captain Tom.
Well, that will feature. So first up then, we have the death of and reaction to the death of Captain Tom.
Yeah.
All of these going to be the death of and reaction to the death of someone.
No.
Only 2 of them are. The
thing that I love about the whole Captain Tom saga was that he did the charity thing, which is like, the NHS shouldn't be a charity in the first place anyway. But that aside, just the total after he did that, the just total cash grab of every single fucking thing that came afterwards.
Correct me
he had
if
a book. He had a fucking gin flavour. He had a fucking an autobiography or a ghostwritten biography, I assume.
Yeah, but I mean, the dude
was like an actual ghost, one assumes at this time.
He was. But he was like 110 years old, so people were just like ringing him and going like, "Oh, here, do you want a book?" And he'd be like, "Well, yes," because he's just happy to have like contact with someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, plenty of contact with his family.
Away, like,
plenty of contact with his family. Plenty of contact with loads of strangers when he was away on holiday. Plenty of contact with coronavirus. Loads of contacts.
I want to say as well,
contact.
Because you said the NHS shouldn't be a charity, but correct me if I'm wrong, the NHS isn't a charity. Like, so I think the money he raised was actually spent on like refilling the vending machines or some shit.
Yeah, it kind of was, is the short version. Like, he raised funds for a charity that benefits ancillary services which are not covered by the NHS.
What, so like
Quality.
biscuits and stuff like that?
It was stuff for staff. Basically, I think, if I recall correctly. And
Biscuits,
like your listeners, if I'm wrong on this, then feel free to write in to @CopRespector420 to explain. But
I mean, fill your fucking boots. I'm banned this week.
Now is the perfect time to contact Jamie with your burning questions.
Yes. So Captain Tom and all
and the mawkish patriotism and the World War veterans and the fucking all the bullshit. Yes, the cake.
Oh, fucking the cake.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's just an emblematic of all the, like you say, the mawkish, like, nationalism that spews out of everyone's fucking mouth as far as this.
Can we have Ricey and Gibble? They were in the last year, weren't they?
We've got Ricey and Gibble home. On the note of, though, Ricey and Gibble, we have Welcome to Prince Philip's City 17.
It's safer here.
Yeah, like, will the entire country just like stop doing advertisements and instead just told you about the death of some guy?
I wish that the Combine would descend from like some horrible portal in the sky and just wipe out most of humanity, because I feel like that would just relieve me from this hell that we're in.
It would be better.
I mean, yeah, I'd absolutely be running towards them.
Yeah.
Dr. Breen would be a better fucking administrator than any of the fucking leaders we have at the moment. At least he could build an obelisk into the sky.
I don't know who that is.
I mean, they talk about suppression fields that are preventing people from fucking there, but I'm pretty sure that's just called latent depression at the moment. So, So that was an extremely normal, like, 24 hours. Top tier posting, everyone. Well done. Look forward to the plans for the Queen.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to turn off
Shit
Twitter
is going
for a
to
day.
pop up. Yeah, they're just going to shut down the fucking internet nationwide, I think. Like,
honestly, I wouldn't put it past them.
Absolutely, like.
No, they've seen what it was like when Philip died. Like, there's no way they're going to let that happen again. Fucking hell. So, yeah, we've got that. We have... Oh, how about this?
How about go fuck yourself?
All together.
An extremely normal thing that actually happened this year.
I am all in favour of British douche. Like, I am happy to see us come.
That absolutely sounds like fascist Teletubbies.
I hate to bring it to you, Jamie. It kind of is fascist Teletubbies.
I mean, you're living on their island.
Yeah.
Oh, so...
And yet again, it's ruled over by a fucking sun.
Yay.
Hey.
I swear to God, I had like the chorus stuck in my head for like 2 days. I swear to God,
That's the point.
I just
awful.
I came so close to just sticking
enjoy that at home,
knitting
listener.
needle in my brain. Like, I came within inches just to make it stop. Yeah.
Getting my money's worth out of that tonight, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, all right, so I don't think anything more needs to be said about that. That was a thing. Nando's running out of chicken.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of dudes in like the most ill-fitting shirts you've ever seen who are absolutely devastated by this.
Yes, I mean that's like one of the dumber fucking things we've got here. But obviously, this is down to the complete inability to deal with a change in how fucking supply chains work. And
no, it was down to Wimpy like semtexing a bunch of chicken farms.
Oh, that shit would fucking rule. If that was what
the opening salvo of the Great Chicken War of 2021.
We knew we were fucked when Wimpy landed the first blow.
Like the end of V for Vendetta, just with like feathers flying everywhere.
So this is only one element of it. There's obviously been a few other shortages at the moment. There's a shortage of water treatment chemicals, so yeah, that'll not have any knock-on effects, I'm sure. There's been plenty of other little fucking shortages here and there. Let's see how that pans out as we go. And finally, pen farthing and the Afghan animals.
Yeah, the animals of pen farthing wood. Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
No. Pen farthing, for those of you who don't know, was a former Royal Marine commando, by which I mean we can...
Not a real person. Absolutely cannot be a real person.
Yeah, it sounds like a fucking name of a character from what was it, Lemony Snicket?
But I mean, he presumably
sounds like a detective in a novel by fucking J.K. Rowling. Is what it sounds like.
The weirdest thing about him though is he had one eye bigger than the other.
But yeah, so he ran a animal charity specifically to help the sad soldiers get a pet so they wouldn't feel so bad about doing all the murders in Afghanistan and in the war on terror. So that was really important. And then as the capital was falling and as desperate people were trying to run from the Taliban and get to safety because they collaborated with us for decades, this fucking dickhead demanded that he got a plane for himself and his animals specifically to get out, while threatening the defense secretary that he would destroy him on social media if he didn't save the animals first. By the way, he did feel roughly fine about leaving his Afghan staff, vets, and other people who helped look after the animals.
He did a tweet where he said like he would leave his staff behind over his dead body, and then when he got to the plane, they were like, "You can't bring them," and he went, "Okay."
Yeah,
and then I think it's unconfirmed, but I heard reports that once he landed in England, they just like killed all the dogs with a flamethrower.
The thing about this fucking story, though, is like, what did he think was going to happen to the animals when the Taliban got to them? Like, I know that the Taliban don't have a great rap. But like it's not as though they were like service dogs have been like repurposed by the Taliban, and like they're not like they're going to be like destroyed.
Well, it's like so the Taliban have a weird relationship with dogs. Again, right? It's religious stuff.
It's
basically.
Ian Austin and the Taliban.
No, not like that. Right. This is genuinely. I'm not having a go. Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a cat person, and that actually matters. Like that's filtered down culturally. So yeah, it can be a bit weird. I don't think they'd actually, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they'd shoot them in the street or anything. They just, I don't think they'd be particularly encouraged as pets.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever the case, anything and everything to do with the pen farthing account was extremely British, and also both sides were. He was a dickhead who put animal lives above human beings, and everybody who responded to him going was egged on by the press because they needed a distraction from the actual fall of Kabul, and that's what they got with this dickhead. So everybody in this story is a fucking loser.
They couldn't have got a better fucking angle for distraction, because if the rise of fascism in Britain in the last 20 years is anything to go by, if you want to start off a fascist party, just start up a Facebook page about animals' rights.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Easiest way to fucking do it. People will happily do that shit and fucking go in. Like, there was that person that was on, I can't remember fucking if it was Times Radio or some other bullshit like that. That was just outright.
It was LBC.
LBC, oh, fucking would be LBC. It was just outright yes, no, I would save the animals over the people, definitely, 100%. And it's like, do you want to take any more time in consideration of this?
No.
Nope.
No.
I've made my mind up in a truly British fashion. Save the dogs, fuck the people.
Yes. Yes.
Ian Austin Gino, to his credit.
He would at least.
Bang, bang, yeah.
Oh, fuck. Oh. Alright, so that is the list for most normal island event. What do we think? What wins it?
Read it back to me again.
We have the Nando's chicken shortage. We have Captain Tom. We have Prince Philip's City 17. We have Strong Britain, Great Nation, and Pen Farthing.
I
feel like it's.
I don't know.
I feel like it's between Captain Tom.
I'm gonna say the Nando's thing just purely because like it's entertaining for me to think about. You know what I mean?
I think it's between Captain Tom and
either City 17 or Pen Farthing.
Yeah, I think it's Captain Tom.
I think it's Captain Tom as well.
I'm sorry, I think it's Captain Tom.
Too.
Yeah.
I think Captain Tom stands up.
Right, okay, because my vote here is going to be Prince Philip.
Oh,
the reaction to.
I can see why it's in the top 3.
So that's a two-way tie at the moment between Captain Tom and Prince Philip, and Jamie, it's down to you to break this tie.
Nando's.
Are we having to give our first joint nomination?
If we don't break this tie, do we get sequestered? Because I could do with a holiday.
Red smoke is coming from the chimney. It seems that Praxis Cast has reached a decision.
Let's say Prince Philip.
Okay, there we go. There you have it.
See, I was going to suggest that you could just say it's the death of geriatric symbols of a nation figures, because that's basically what they both are.
I mean, yeah, you could have, but that wouldn't have broken the tie. So
yeah.
I mean,
right,
James, you could say that, and then Jamie could have done his thing. Everyone's happy.
Yeah. Okay, Prince Philip it is then. Wins the death of Prince Philip wins the most normal
Christmas
island
came
event
3 times.
God bless us, everyone.
It's very nearly the season. Get your poppies out now, troops.
Yeah, everyone start thinking about the Crystal Maze theme music.
Dun, 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 dun,
So,
da, da, da,
final.
da, 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 da.
So, final category.
Da, 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 da.
We've passed through the James barrier now that they're disrupting the fucking podcast. You know it's been a long recording when that starts to happen.
Yeah, just like Crystal Maze. Anyway, sorry, David, carry on.
Final category. Funniest event of last year.
Honourable mentions go to...
Yes, honourable mentions for the funniest event of last year go to the Ford inquiry still being a thing people go on about, being charged in the US, and
I think we know where this is going.
And people still being mad about Keith.
Yes.
This is in the sense of people calling Keir Starmer Keith, not people still being mad about the existence of Keir Starmer, aka Keith.
People being mad about, like, it's Keith is funny, but we haven't had to, like, excise roughly 4 hours so far of podcast content because Rob wouldn't stop talking about that. So I think I'm going to have to give it to, like, the
well,
fucking...
you're not. Those were the honourable mentions.
Ah. Well, that's disappointing, that, like.
No, it's not specifically an honourable mention, so we don't have to excise 4 hours of podcast content.
Yeah, you think.
12 seconds later.
There we go.
It's the last day of school. We're allowed to bring in nonce jokes. I can't wait to hear us try and do the fucking sign off tonight. Jesus Christ.
All right, come on.
I love you, David. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
You regret nothing.
Come on, we can do it.
Okay.
We can make our way through this.
So, nominees are Geronimo the alpaca.
Yep.
The entire mayoral campaign of Brian Rose.
He the one that drank his own piss?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The Hartlepool by-election.
Yep.
And the Blue Tick International Brigade.
What, the ones who are wanting to go into Afghanistan?
Specifically all the ones who want to go back and just said we can sort this shit out ourselves without those Americans in tow.
So, Geronimo the Alpaca is a really strong contender from that list, frankly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's also quite recent, and the recent stuff is the stuff you find funniest, I find.
I mean, I've got to say, the Hartlepool by-election was extremely funny because of all the fucking cope from the worst people on earth.
Yeah.
Which was highly entertaining. And a special shout out to Sin and Stream after that by-election because it was possibly the most incredible stream I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was like old school posting in like the good days of Corbyn when like everybody would just...
it was like being back in the good old days.
Like, as someone who was like working quite hard during that election and didn't get to take it all in, I still found myself fucking dying at Keir Starmer throwing a landlord out of his own pub. Like, that's the highlight for me personally.
To be fair, if the Labour leader evicted more landlords, he'd probably be a lot more popular.
Well,
Dr.
Milf Hunter as well.
Yes, well.
Oh my god, there's so many things. It's going to take a lot to dissuade me from Hartlepool, I've got to say.
Yeah, Dr. Milf Hunter, who personally closed the hospital.
Yes.
I'm going to say, like, I think the Blue Tick International Brigade is objectively funny, but it's not as side-splittingly hilarious as the other three.
Yes.
So I think we can probably, like, respectfully salute them as they're lowered into the ground.
Are we coming to consensus on this final award? Is that what you're trying to do here?
I think we might actually have something approximating consensus. Okay, Brian Rose. Tell me why Brian Rose was the best mayor London never had.
Because he drinks his own piss and he dresses like the Penguin.
Yeah. Did you ever see? Did you ever see his fucking YouTube channel? It is honestly
real. Yeah, it's fucking
banger
great.
after banger.
Yeah,
it's incredible. This man can break dance. It fucking rules.
Better or worse than Paul Mason's YouTube channel that he apparently has?
It's more entertaining to watch.
Do either of them introduce their videos in that like stereotypical YouTube guy style? You know, like, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Tarantula Dick.
No, what's his face? Paul Mason just introduces it with, imagine the Nazis had a time machine.
No, the funny thing is, though, that Paul Mason has never been instructed on how to jack off by a Chinese masturbation expert.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
But Brian Rose expressly has.
I mean, it's pretty good, isn't it?
Wonderful stuff.
Well, I mean, he had to go and get a specialist, because where else was he going to learn the empty palm style?
Oh,
Look, I'm still ahead on the last one. I'm fine. Carry on.
Yeah, he managed to get 31,000 votes, which sounds impressive, but obviously remember, it's London, and he also got like half as many votes as fucking Lawrence Fox, which is funny in itself.
Yeah.
Is he he half as divorced as Lawrence Fox?
He's pretty divorced.
No, he's divorced in spirit. He's very divorced in spirit, but like, no, as opposed to Lawrence Fox, who is incredibly divorced in both spirit and body.
Also, he's another guy who sells secrets of business success, and a lot of people are very angry at him for the shitty lessons he gave.
I mean, those things where it's like, oh, buy my book, it teaches you the secrets of like being rich. It's like that fucking like anecdote about the fucking
the dinner with Jay-Z thing.
No, I was going to say that like thing about, is it about like someone in the Soviet Union or something where he like the guy takes over like a fucking government position. And the incumbent, like leaving incumbent, tells him, "Oh, when you get in trouble, there's 2 letters in the desk, open like one at a time." And the first one says like blame everything on me, and then the second one says sit down and write 2 letters. I imagine that's like what it's like with the business advice, like sit down and write a book on how to give business advice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like that enormous fucking bellend that like walks around like trying to troll people on Twitter. But like, I'm a landlord and I'm proud of it. Like, look, here's me like fucking
fuck that cunt.
Yeah. Like him, he's like always like fucking. Didn't someone kill themselves after getting his like advice on how to become a landlord?
Yeah.
He's a wank.
He is. Like,
but yeah, but Brian Rose. Brian Rose is very much a type of guy for 2021.
Yes.
He's very endemic of what types of guy are now, which I think is why he's probably one of the funniest things out, because he's just perfect.
And he's our candidate for London Mayor.
No, our candidate for London Mayor, as you know, was Tony Blair.
That's true. Big Tone back at last.
It's Blair for Mayor. All right, so what do we think? Does Brian Rose make the cut over Geronimo or Hartlepool?
Sure.
Oh, he does he?
I definitely not against Hartlepool.
It's hard. I think it's Hartlepool or Geronimo.
I think
that's where I'm at.
I think it's Geronimo. I think everything to do with that was so stupid and British and exceedingly funny. I'm
going to have to go with, back to what my deepest desire truly is, which is the destruction of the Labour Party, so I can only really say it was Hartlepool.
Deep in your heart, you knew it to be true.
Yes.
Okay, so Rob's going with Geronimo. David's going with Hartlepool. What are you going with, Alistair?
Hartlepool's got to be. I mean, because it was honestly a riotous, 3 days, and the allegations that came out, which I don't think we are still not allowed to say on the podcast. Highly, highly amusing especially as it was all happening live.
See, I would say Hartlepool, except the other by-election, wherever it was, fascism on Trent or whatever. That one was funnier because of fucking Galloway steaming about the place in cat ears with dual pistols. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I'm changing my mind. I'm changing my vote to Hartlepool. I'm good. You've convinced me.
Yeah. Okay. Labour's performance in Hartlepool is objectively the funniest thing this year, I think. So yeah. All right. Let's go with that.
Okay. There you have it. Then the funniest event of last year was the Hartlepool by-election.
This is the minus 20% to your polling award. The funniest event.
All right, we're going to finish up the episode now. But before we do that, some announcements. First off, we are on holiday from next week for 2 weeks. However, we do have plenty of content for you in the meantime. We will have on the Patreon feed a Black Thoughts episode released on Tuesday the 14th. On Thursday the 16th, we will have an interview with Nick Bano about corporate landlordism. On Tuesday the 21st, the release of Black Thoughts on the free feed, and on Thursday the 23rd, a special bonus episode with Liam and Roz from Well There's Your Problem. Patreon.com/PraxisCast if you want to sign up and listen to that. We also have the announcement of semi-regular Twitch streaming now.
We're a fucking content empire, baby.
So I think me and Jamie are going to try and stick to Mondays at 7:30 p.m. BST and then GMT whenever that stops.
Yeah.
And then possibly another day in the week, depending on how we're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one may continue over the break from actual podcasting, so just keep an eye on that. Subscribe, twitch.tv/PraxisCast.
Yeah, and we should be back in the last week of September, I think. Or first week of October, I can't remember. When did we say we would be back?
You won't notice, though, because there will be content there for you.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's a mystery why we even brought it up to begin with.
Because I was told to.
Because we're not doing formal episodes for a couple of weeks, and people like to know these things about us.
Did they?
Anyway, bye.
Yeah.
Yet again, t-shirts are being neglected.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I can't eat not t-shirts.
Episode end.
Bye.
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 Yeah, see ya.